Do not make this mistake if you plan to stack your firewood on pallets. I want to share with you what failed and how I corrected the issue. So anybody that splits and stacks their own firewood knows that you need to get that wood up off the ground to allow air to circulate underneath the stack, which allows it to dry and season faster. Now, typically, how I get the wood up off the ground is by way of either small saplings or 2x4s, whatever I have available. And this has worked out well for me for years. Well, this year I had a couple extra pallets laying around and I thought, you know what, I'll give those a try. You have these nice big pockets. I figured it would allow great airflow to get underneath the stack. Well, you can see how these two pallets run parallel to the hillside back there. Now, if you imagine this is the pallet on the hillside there, my first piece of wood hit the 2x4 here, and the second stack, you know, I made these pretty close to one another. That's about where the second stack was. So there wasn't a 2x4 really supporting the outer edge of the stack. And guess what happened? Well, these 1x started to fail. You can see that everything started to sag, and then this whole pile started to give way. So how did I correct that? Well, I temporarily put a 2x4 bracing the stack up, and I got this 3x3 here. Put a rope through the pile, back onto the hillside with the ratchet strap, and that'll prevent that from kicking out any further. Now, people tell me all the time, why don't you just build a woodshed? Well, I'd love to. There's a few issues with building a woodshed. For one, cost. I go through maybe 6 or 7 cords of wood a year. So to build a woodshed that's large enough to house, you know, a 2-year supply of wood would be pretty expensive to build. On top of that, my area is heavily regulated. Anytime I want to build a structure larger than 10 by 10, it requires a zoning permit. So you have to get zoning board approvals to build that structure. On top of that, building department's probably going to want their permit fees, and they're probably going to want a set of plans. So you're either going to have to hire an engineer or find a set of approved plans online. So you get the idea. And then they're going to want to raise your property taxes. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing here. Not the prettiest looking thing, but it works for me.